In this presentation, we will continue on with our S Corporation comprehensive problem, part number 19. We're going to take the Schedule K and transfer it to the Form 1040 for an individual owner of individual stockholder of the S Corporation. There's a couple ways that we can do this. Recall that the S Corporation is a flow-through entity, and therefore we're going to have to file the 1120S and then report that information using a K1, which is kind of like similar to like a W-2 form. It's reporting the income that will then go to the individual shareholders, who will then take that and input it into their Form 1040, reporting the income that is allocated to them from the S Corporation. There's a few ways that we can do this. You can actually print the Schedule K1 and distribute that to the shareholders, and then they can then take that and add that information, put the data input from it into their tax system. Or if you're using the same software, in other words, if you're doing the tax return on the 1120S and for one or more of the individuals that own it, then you can use this tax system. If you're using Lacert, some other tax software probably does this too. You can export from the 1120S to the 1040 for the owner. So we'll take a look at that. We'll take a look at the distribution process. We'll take a look at the Lacert transfer process, the exporting, and we'll take a look at what the effect will be of the Schedule K from our practice problem on the individual 1040 of an owner of the S Corporation. Here we are with our 1120S. We're going to then go to the Schedule K1. We have the Schedule K1 for our owner. This is going to be for Tim Jones. Now, we have the income reported here. We need to take this information, distribute it to the owner. The owner then is responsible for putting that into their individual tax return. But what if we're doing the taxes for the owner as well? We're going to do the S Corporation, and then we're going to do the 1040, or if it's our return, then the S Corporation needs to be done, and then the individual 1040. We can export this directly to the 1040. Let's first take a look at the information for the individual return. I'm going to go to the individual returns now, and we are going to be considering here the Tim Jones. So we're going to go into Tim Jones, and I'm going to take a look at the forms so far. You'll see that single individual Tim Jones, we don't have any information in it at this point. No income at all. And all we have there is the standard deduction. Now let's go back to the S Corporation and see if we can simply export that information to this location from the S Corporation to the 1040. Now to do this, I got to go to the Schedule K1. I want to take the Schedule K1 miscellaneous, and then I'm going to say that I need to export this. So I want to export this data to the 1040 form. So I'm going to check this off for Tim Jones. Once that's done, we should be able to do the exporting process. And that can be found in the tools up top. And we're going to go to the K1 data export. So K1 data export. And then you'll see this link here. So we're going to export this out. And I'm going to say, all right, export that. The export has been complete. So I'm going to say, okay. Then I'm going to go to the client up top. And I'm going to go to the client up top and go to the individual. And now let's go back into that same return that we were taking a look at for Tim Jones. If I go into it, it's going to say, here's the pop-up saying that there has been exported information. That's what we want. This is the federal K1 input. So we want that. I'm going to say accept that input. You're about to overwrite. I'm going to say yes and okay. And then we can go back up and see the results. So if I go to the forms up top then and scroll down, then now we see this information being populated. So, and all this information then, we saw it was blank before it's being populated by basically the K1 form. So if we go back to the K1 form, then we see line 1, ordinary business income. That's the 48,657. We see that populated on the tax return there. If we scroll back over, we then see the interest income, the 2,800. There's the 2,800. And then we see the ordinary dividends and the qualified dividends. There's the qualified and ordinary dividends there. So that comes out to the total income of the 61,257. We have a single individual, so the standard deduction is going to be that 12,200. We also have the qualified business income deduction. Now, this is something you're going to want to research and make sure that you're applying this correctly because it's a fairly new law and it can be fairly nuanced depending on the type of industry that you are in. But it is being calculated based on the business income you could see of the $48,657. 11A then being the $20,051, which makes the taxable income the $41,206. Then if we go to page 2 to actually calculate the tax on it, we have the $3,852 on the tax calculation from it.